it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Good morning and welcome back. Well, as you can see that I've got version 1.13 loaded up here. The great HE nerf buff change along with SPGs, but we're going to talk about HE. What did HE do to you? What sounds like a therapist opening up. What did HE do to you? Tell me about it. It's changed, my friends. It's changed. And the question is it better or worse or indifferent? We're going to talk a little bit about it as we go here. I have a replay from Capri 25. Clanless. And he is raging in his KV2. One mark KV2, so he has a general, reasonable, good idea how to play this thing. Bottom tier and a tier 8. And we're on highways going into a city. These are all a decent setup in the past for the KV2 because you knew you could get in there. The KV2 can throw some fear factor at all of those tanks over there because they know they're going to lose a chunk of hit points if they just needlessly run out. They know if they get sideways to him, he might get a pen. So they got to watch out for the old KV2. Now, what's the KV2 have working against it? Well, it's got terrible dispersion. It's slow. Its armor is questionable at this tier. And the reload is glacial. Let's get going. We'll talk about it. So what they've done is they've taken HE and they've made it closer to AP in regards to the mechanics. The explosion sphere that seeks out some weak armor, weakest that it can find supposedly in that sphere, although that was always questionable in my mind on how that actually worked, or if it did. It doesn't work that way anymore. Essentially, it's like an AP shell. It has a penetration. It hits whatever it hits, and then it rolls to penetrate. Screens will decrease the penetration if they get through the screen. Go ahead and show you what he's doing with his gun. Now here's the question about that I have, and I think I might raise more questions than I answer here because I didn't play the test server. Why didn't I play the test server? Because I'm not going to be an unpaid tester. I know that's mercenary of me. I'd rather play the game. Thank you. So you say, well, Guido, that's partly your fault for not going to the test server and giving feedback. Yeah, see, I reject that. Again, I go back to I'm not going to spend my time testing their game mechanics. A test server is really good for the mechanics part. Not really sure they got what they wanted out of that based on what I'm seeing, but we'll get to that in a moment. What it doesn't do, period, what it does not do is replicate well enough a pub match, the regular game, to know what all of the various iterations of those changes are going to be. And when you make a change as big as the HE change is, there's going to be some secondary and tertiary effects that you simply didn't see coming. And whatever numbers you took from your test server have to be highly suspect, especially in regards to how the tanks are going to perform in the pub matches, not how the mechanics perform, i.e., I shoot, the shell goes where it goes, and it does the correct mechanical thing I want it to do. The effect on the battle is not well tested in a test server. All right. Capri comes into the city. He's got his HE shell loaded up. He's all HE. And he approaches on in here. So we're going to talk about this. He put this replay on the forum and said, holy cow, my KV2 is neutered. It comes up to the corner right here. Now, he got some blowback on it. I don't think a lot of it was justified necessarily, but I think there's some good points, even with some of the things that happen early on. So let's just get into it. Because the gameplay of a KV2 or a Sherman derp or all of the derp guns, especially at the mid-tiers like this, was basically get out there and blat people, and you didn't really aim per se. You could aim for weak spots and things like that, try to get to the side, maximize damage, all that good stuff. But generally the gameplay was blap them and get out of the way. And this was kind of required, or is required, because the dispersion is so bad on these things, and to a large extent the reload. So you need to hit people and hide. The argument that I should simply just aim better, all right, which is what you're seeing a lot on the forum, is number one, true, really, for anyone and any gun, and two, a load of BS. Because that's just not the way these things are played or were designed to play. Now, does that have to change? I don't know. We'll see. Possibly. Is it even able to be changed to something as effective as it was? I don't think so. Okay, let's continue. T-29 comes out. We're going to slow down. So he said, holy cow, I took 4 shots, essentially, and they did nothing. So the T-29 comes out, and we're going to see the first issue that derp guns have in this game. But it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the change. Watch that shell. See where that shell's going? I'll just zoom out. I can't get, there it is. It's going to go right through where the gun, you can't see it, but it went right through where the gun, there it goes. And the upper hole was, he missed in that spot right there. It just plain old missed. That's RNG. It was there a week ago, it's there today. It's a very bad dispersion gun. He missed. Now this one's odd because it was really nicely zoomed in and it picked a very small spot to miss, but it missed nonetheless. It's the dispersion mechanic in the game. That would have happened a week ago. All right. However, the reason I show that, and we'll show another one, we'll get going here. The reason I show that is, and in general, for what I've seen in my testing, playing the derp guns and watching the videos as you guys are sending this in, is you're going to do less damage. You're generally going to do less damage because where the KV2 goes to play, for lots of reasons, is against the heavies in the brawling zones because it doesn't have an accurate gun. The KV2 would love to, and when it gets to its fun, hit light-skinned tanks. You might go, oh, Guido, just go fight the light-skinned tanks. Okay, yeah, let's go out in the field with the KV2 or maybe sit with the IKV-65 in the back and see how that works out. That should be nice. I mean, we all know the KV2, this is its environment. Was. Maybe it's not anymore. If it isn't, it doesn't have an environment. Right? It doesn't have the gun to snipe. It's not going to be able to go find the light-skinned tanks unless it just gets in a matchmaker that works out for it, which happens. But really, this is the element of the KV2. It didn't care about Tier 7 and 8. One of the very few Tier 6s that simply did not care that it was looking at a 6 or an 8. Is that good or bad for the game? You guys can make that decision. Some people think it was bad. Some people think it was good. The fact is, that's what it was. All right. So it's in its element, attempting to do the things it do. We've got one miss via dispersion, would have or RNG dispersion kind of idea. Would have happened, obviously, anywhere. So here's the second one. Looking for a shot on the TS5. We shoot. Wow, that looked like it was going right at him, but look at that. It actually hit the side of the building, or potentially if there was some rubble there. I don't know if there was still some of that gate still sitting there or what, but it hit something right there. You got chunks of everything going everywhere, other than the TS5. So once again, the terrible dispersion, and that one is more dispersion oriented. You can see that half of his circle was covered, but it's still a very large circle, so it had a pretty good chance of hitting the side of the building. All right, so two things that would have happened last week before we had this change. But now we get into where we're able to work ourselves into actually hitting the tank and the new mechanics come into effect. So last week we could have had this game where we shot twice, dispersion let us down a bit. The game is still in control more or less. Let's be a little more careful about our shot and try to get a hit and see what we can do. So he backs out, starts thinking about getting another shot on the TS5, gets a little closer, backs out again. And we got the TS5 sitting there, and this is looking like a pretty juicy shot. If we can hit, much like the one before, right? But this is kind of what you did with the KV2 in the past. And eventually you're going to get one of those bad boys on, and you're going to do your 200, 300 chunk of damage, right? You don't care that that big armored TS5 is right there. So we're going to back up. Looking for a shot. Now, we are aiming at a pretty heavily armored portion of it. It is possible that Capri could have backed out and gone after the hatch, but we're talking about a dispersion the size of Kansas here, right? So yes, that is a possibility. Speed this up. TS5 is coming in, tries to get out of the way, and now we're going to take our shot. And nothing. Nothing. Critical hit. Now, it looks like it might have gone slightly past him. I'm not really sure what happened there, to be honest. I mean, if we back this thing up, and watch that shot. Speed it up again. And this is where I'm starting to talk about the mechanics of the thing that I'm not exactly sure what is happening here. I'm going to back up. We'll just go half speed this time. He's looking for his shot. He's got the pipper on him. Going to take our shot pretty soon here. Back, 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 back. Shot's going in the TS5. It looks like it hit him, to me. It looks like it hit him. Nothing. Critical hit. Critical hit, which makes me feel like it hit him. What are the mechanics of these kind of side bouncing shots? That shot would have done damage in the past. 200 or 300 probably. Maybe it was even 150, but it would have done damage. Probably would have detracted him. So he's got one critical hit. Didn't even detract the thing. So I don't know how much energy is transferred to the red vehicle on these high angle bounces off of H. Remember, it's trying to pin. So an AP shell would have just plain old bounced on that. Zero chance of pin based on the angle. Unless it was an overmatch and it was really lightly skinned side. But that mechanic, to be honest, I'm not quite sure if it's with the HE, but it ends up bouncing. Or doing no damage, exploding and doing no damage because of the strength of the armor. Now the TS5 has a screen on the side. And there's a situation where screens have to be penetrated to do any damage. What I don't know is if Wargaming has any information out there on which of their 3D model things that are strapped all over tanks are actually screens for purposes of spaced or screen HE mechanics. Other than some third-party sites, which are often kind of wonky to figure out, to be quite honest. There's no direct information on that. So is the TS5 carrying this great big HE shield on the side that on shots like that you're simply not going to take any damage? Slash the mechanics are now different. That spherical explosion's gone. The energy is going in the direction of the shot. If it bounces off like that, and even if it explodes, it's going to have very little chance of pinning anything. Don't know. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea. So we then get to this last one. We're coming in here, and we got the TS5. He gets a shot, and thankfully does not pen us. He's going to reload probably before we get another shot, which he does, because that thing reloads like crazy. And then we shoot him. And we shoot him right in those tracks. Now, the TS5 has these crazy forward track things that stick out. There's no hitbox right there. So we blap him on those tracks, but because it's like an AP shell, it dutifully knocks the track off, but does not have enough oomph to get into the armor behind it, or simply exploded in this area. To be honest, I don't know even if an HE shell can go through that, because it exploded on the tracks, and because it doesn't have the sphere, it did zero damage to anything behind it. A screen, I guess, at that point. The tracks and the sprocket, in this case especially, with the design of the TS5, he gets a track, which he probably wanted, but he gets zero damage out of it as well, which in the past he would have. So we have two shots that would have done some damage. He'd have shaved off, I don't know, 300-400 off the TS5 in those two shots. Maybe as little as 200, but there would have been something. And the reason I wanted to show this and break this down, because that is the gameplay of the KV2. That's what it had. Didn't have anything else. That was it. That was its whole trick. The entirety of its trick. Now, can it learn a new trick? I don't think so. It can learn to not hit screens like he did and go after the armor, but it will do less damage. So yes, Capri could have, with those two shots with slightly different aim, done some damage. It would have been a lot less than it did in the past. Were KV2s running around ruining the game? Were they overpowered? They may have been overtuned. But isn't that a DPM / alpha problem? A specific problem for several specific tanks, and not an entire mechanic problem? Wasn't that what the problem was? Isn't that why the Type 4 and the Type 5 were nerfed the way they were? Because it was the tank issue, not necessarily that HE mechanics were a problem. Let's look at the Sherman Jumbo. Alright, so this is another kind of gameplay for the derp. It's very similar in that you're going to pop out, blap somebody in the face, and get back. But unlike the KV2, there's some fear factor for the Jumbo or any of the Sherman variants with the little 105 howitzer on it. But not like the KV2. It's not like you're worried that you're going to get maybe penned for 900. But this tank would take chunks off of people. Pretty reliably. Pretty reliably. And sometimes it was only 80 or 90 or 100 or whatever. But a lot of times you get 200 or 300 out of this thing with a pen or a hit on a lightly skinned tank where it got into the light armor somehow. So we're going to come up here and test what I think most people would potentially do with an Sherman Jumbo derp. You just get up here and start blapping people in the face. And we're going to use that Great Depression, and we are going to pop up and take a shot. And although we don't have great dispersion, it's not too bad, especially at these ranges. So we'll just come up here and get hit by Artie first for 284. Well, by the way, that was an M44 who nailed me for 284. Was I stunned? Forgive me while I go back. I think he might. I don't know if he hit me with the stun and I repaired it. I think he might have hit me with the stun shot. The M44 was nerfed, different than the HE change. It was simply a nerf. Look at the arc going there. You're going to see a lot of those. So no, I was not stunned, it looks like. I got hit by the extra damage shot. This is not a video about that, but by the way, that was a straight up buff pretty much for the mid-tier artillery. Now that they have multiple shell types and they've got the extra damage coming from the less splash, they're accurate enough that they don't care. They just don't care. So there's two shots. There's a 55, there's a 48, and this is the gameplay of this tank. There's another 155 from the artillery. There's two shots into there, three shots I guess now for 161. These mid-tier smaller derp tanks are the ones that got hammered the hardest, I think, by the HE change. Popping up and risking a shot on somebody and getting 55 or 58 out of it. Really, you might as well run the 76 and take the bounces. Or just spam gold so you can at least get 120 or so, 115, whatever the alpha is on that. Go ahead and fast forward this a bit. Just a straight up miss. He started moving, so that's going to happen. Come across here. Oh, that was good. Armor not hit. I don't know what that means. What? Armor not hit? Is there a screen on the T-37? Was that a track hit? Was it the mantlet? Armor not hit? I think I hit something. Armor not hit. I mean, I laughed about that. I saw it multiple times while I was doing this, and I thought to myself, what in the actual umpty frats does armor not hit mean? I know it hit something and then didn't pen, I guess. Armor not hit. I feel like I hit something, but I guess it wasn't armor. Is that what happened? It's a T-37, dude. Armor not hit, my friends. Armor not hit. Let's see, can we actually kill him this time? Probably. There we go. Armor hit. Armor hit. There I got my 211. And that's kind of the payoff for playing a tank with crappy dispersion. That's the kind of thing you're looking for. I got close enough. I finally hit him somewhere. Looks like it was a pen. And everything is happy in Guidoville. So we're going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit. Because it gets fun. We get in here. Go forward. We miss. Let's get a little closer till we start shooting again. And let's see how this derp does. Because one of the things you want to do, and that's why I'm going to the end of this game, one of the things you do with a derp gun like this is end game you're pretty effective at taking out near des. Now, didn't Wargaming say that what they wanted HE to do is to be able to reset caps and take out low hit point tanks. By the way, it's what it already did. It's kind of like coming into a position that has a program already in effect. And then when that program succeeds, claiming it was your program. Anyway, let's see. It's kind of like that, actually. We want HE to damage low hit point guys and reset caps. You know what, boss? So does everybody else. And oh, by the way, it already does that. Now there's a miss. Oof. Hit by the M44 again for 173. Fantastic. The Artie is not having a problem hitting me, my friends. I know this isn't an Artie video, it's an HE video. But the Artie is having no problem hitting me. Now, we got a couple T-29s. Those are heavily armored tanks. This is kind of the type of tank that Wargaming wanted, especially concerning the turret. Wargaming wanted to minimize the amount of damage derp guns were doing to those guys because for reasons. Now, I don't think it was a contingent of T-29 drivers complaining about this, do you? What heavily armored type of player do you suppose? What heavily armored type of tank and player would really not like HE enough that they might get Wargaming to change it? Well, there's a whole 64 on a KV2. Yeah, the mind boggles. It's probably not your tier 6 KV2 enemies or your jumbo enemies. Were jumbos and KV2s running roughshod across the game? Were they completely overpowered tanks that required some kind of nerf to the HE because it was such a problem? I don't think so. 24. In the past, that would have done some pretty good damage. Potentially, I could have hit the mantlet again. If I hit the mantlet, I sure as hell am pretty damn good at hitting mantlets today. You know what I mean? I am a mantlet sniper. It's possible RNG could have done it 3 times in a row. The side of a KV or a T-29 is a pretty juicy target. Used to be. Guess what's there now? A bunch of tracks. Guess what happens if you hit the tracks and don't pin? Armor not penetrated. Armor not penetrated. Oh, was it armor not hit? That's what it was. It was actually armor not hit. I hit it. I hit the armor. I promise you. Your indicator said that. All right, I hit the armor. So we shoot at him. We get, ooh, a high roll at 62. Man, we just really put the old schwabang on that guy. 41 to him. That's the side of a tank, by the way. Another side of a tank. Armor not hit. I guess I did hit the armor. Not penetrated, that's for sure. What about this guy? Maybe we hit this guy? No. That was always going to be a not great potential for damage. There's the other T-29. No, he's out in the open. Let's see what we can do with him. All right, there we go. Let's see. Oh, geez, turret probably not going to. Screen not penetrated. Screen. What's the screen? Where's the screen on the T-29? Is that the tracks? Did I hit the tracks somehow? It is one of those kind of arcing things. Or was it the mantlet? Is the mantlet a screen? But what happens if I armor not penetrate? What's the armor I didn't penetrate? I don't know. I don't know. You know, there's clearly some mechanics here that I'm going to have to learn. Clearly some mechanics here I'm going to have to learn because this is not making any kind of, I don't know. I suppose if I was brand new to it and there was some kind of information out there for it, that would be great. Maybe I need to watch a video. The video probably explains it all. But I will say, if you are a jumbo derp player or a KV2 player, you are not going to be pleased with this whole act. This, I mean, I don't even know what to say. There's a good number of you watching this right now going, good. No skill, derping losers, fine. I'm glad it doesn't work like that anymore. Well, Honestly, I am in that camp a little bit. That was terrible. I took that bad shot. I knew that stupid T-29 was going through, and I let him get by. I would have had a chance for another screen armor not penetrated. So there's probably a number of us out there going, all right, good. I don't care. Fine. But that's kind of a crap at it. 24. 24. 24. Is there no armor I can hit on these tanks anywhere that does anything? Is there? It's just not possible? Is there... 73. Oh my goodness. Spilled my coffee. I got all frothed up and I spilled my coffee. See what you've done to me, Wargaming. You made me spill my coffee. So I said we'd look at the derp guns and, you know, see if they're dead or alive or come to some conclusions. I'll be honest, the jury's out. It's early. Maybe the clever players of World of Tanks will figure out how to best use the new HE, and some good info will start to come out and people go, all right, here's what you do with it. You aim here, you do this. I don't see it, to be honest. Can we just take another detour and talk about this ridiculous zoom out that they put in? Why does it have this bizarre pause and then jump up into a different view? What the f is that? Why can't it just zoom out like the frickin' mod did? What? Duh! You zoom out and then you have a seizure and then you're looking in a different direction. Then you try to come back and you zoom to a second. Then you have a seizure and you're like, then you swooping housing in like a sparrow. Just zoom out. All you do is you just zoom it out. And was that their fix for the weird thing when you get next to buildings? I don't know. That seems to still be there. The camera gets wonky when you're next to a building. I don't know if that was an attempt to fix that or mitigate it. It feels like it's still there, and I just don't understand why my zoom out has to pause and then go whoop, and then when I go forward again with the scroll wheel, it goes into and then kind of sticks and whoop, and it's always just like herky-jerky. It's herky-jerky, man. You know what I mean? It's herky-jerky. Coming around here, we're going to try to kill these guys off. It's going to take a while, though, because at 50 or 60 hit points per shot, it's going to take me at least 3 or 4 shots to kill that T-29. We'll knock down this tree. All right, here we go. Taking a look at this guy. Let's go ahead and snipe a shot on this guy. We get a little boom. 108. That was the turret. I guess it was the top, right? Did it arc down on the top and hit the thin armor of the top of the turret? Did I just high roll? Why did I get 108? I'm assuming top of the turret or maybe the hatch. Maybe I actually hit the hatch because there's a hatch up there. Maybe I actually, no kidding, got it on the hatch, and then there's your weak spot sniping. So make sure you snipe. Make sure you softball shot your HE onto the top of the T-29. Maybe that's one of those new techniques that we need to make your Sherman Jumbo work with the new HE, is make sure you softball lob and you land it right on the hatch, on the top of the hatch of the T-29. Then you can roll yourself a sweet 108 instead of 60, 70, 50, 40. 23, was that one of them? I think 23 was one of them. Let's go for another hatch snipe. Yeah, I just missed. Pretty surprised he didn't see me right here, to be honest. I don't know if he's got a dead commander or there's actually there's sort of trees behind us. All right, here we go. This will do it. Boom. No, that's in the ground. All right, that's just RNG. 4. The Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt's got his sweet 76 HE. I thought low caliber HE was going to be more effective. He drops a 4 on him. Nicely done, my friend. You keep that. At 4. I don't. He's got 82, 4. He's going to need 40 shots to kill him at 4 a shot. All right, here we go. Oh, it's a miss. We're really just relying on Artie. I mean, we can't hit anything. Oh, there we go. We'll get him here. That'll show him. 42 in the back. That's aim for weaker armor, they said. Flank them, they said. Shoot them in the back, they said. You'll do more damage. I don't know. It could have been the back of the turret. Okay. 11. 11. How many shots did that guy take? All of them? I think so. I think so. Someone types in finally. It's a Su-152 is like, these changes blow. T-29 was definitely in the fight. You know, he should have just gone up, faced us up with his turret, and started blatting us. You know what I mean? I mean, we're only doing 40 and 50 and 4 and 11 and 12. Who gives a shit? Keep your front turret to us. It's not like we're going to hurt you. All right, here we go. You know, this isn't really a complaint about, you know, oh, my Sherman Jumbo's dead. I barely play this thing. I mean, I got it 2-marked, and I've played it a little bit in the past. Got it to 100 battles, 2-marked it with the derp. It's kind of a funny tank. I never felt like it was destroying the game or was a problem with the way the HE worked. In fact, I thought the HE worked in it pretty well. Minus the occasional getting penned and nuked with a huge hit. But isn't that, like I said earlier, isn't that an alpha problem and a tank problem and not the HE is not working correctly problem? Or doesn't work the way we want it? How many HE forum complaints were there? Yeah, the occasional, oh, I'm sick of getting nuked by high alpha, but isn't that an alpha problem? Why did we do this? What was the purpose? I have my ideas. Snap, that didn't work. Oh, he's pointing at me. All right, here we go. We'll just zoom in. Okay, careful aim. See what we can do. Did I just hit a matlet again? Did I just hit a matlet again? I don't think there's any screens on the front of it. Could have been a track. Maybe it went into the track. Could have been the matlet. So there's some possibilities there. Screen not penetrated. Man, Wargaming, you are going to get so many complaints for this. I mean, I know the mechanics pretty well. Most of your customers don't know anything about it. This is not going to make any sense to them. They are not going to understand why so many of their shots get a weird little icon and nothing happens. It's bad enough when you have new players getting ricochets and crit no damage and all the other things, and now we got this going on. Oh boy, that is just going to make some seriously confused customers are still looking at. Here we go. I really felt like I hit the armor. Seems like I hit the armor. I mean, the tank was right there. I shot the shot and I saw the arc and it. But it told me the armor is not hit, so armor wasn't hit. So I hit something that wasn't armor, right? Is that the track? Or was that a screen? Or does armor not hit mean not penetrated for damage? I don't know. We are going to win this eventually. Look at these guys. I think the Thunderbolt may be still shooting HE at him. Oh, here we go. One more shot. A sweet 58 roll. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about right there. A sweet. I mean, after screen not penetrated, armor not hit. Is there an armor not penetrated as well for HE? I don't know. I can't keep track of them all. Hey, I'll take the 58. You know what I mean? I'll take the 58. Man, I don't know what to say. They certainly fixed the problem of doing chunk damage with HE on heavily armored tanks. I believe tier 10 was what they were trying to fix because good players didn't like their chieftains getting chunks taken out of them with high caliber HE guns from various tier 10 heavies that can't do anything else to them. We'll see what happens with tier 10. I haven't played that one yet. But I get the feeling that the entire exercise was done to mollify high tier players and their chieftains. I can't come up with another reason. And I sort of lean away from that anyway because they don't seem to listen to small groups of players, although they do make questionable decisions that are hard to understand, that only really make sense in the context of listening to somebody that's a minority of players. This is all I can come up with, to be quite honest. I do not get it, man. I don't get it. I don't know how this makes the game better. I don't know how this makes the game more fun. Well, I know it doesn't for people who like to play this kind of gameplay. And if one of the goals is to get rid of some of those people, well, you've done that. You've done that. And I'm not claiming everyone's going to quit and the game's dying and all that, but you've certainly punched the jimmies of a significant portion of mid-tier, medium skill players who liked this kind of gameplay because they could get something done. And they really weren't running roughshod across the game. There was no negative consequence to having those players play the game and play these kinds of tanks. They weren't dominating the roles. They weren't getting massive win 8s. They weren't a plague on the game. So if we were attempting to fix a not plague on the game, then I think we accomplished that. Otherwise, I don't get it. Let me know what you think down below, man. I'm just flummoxed, to be honest, when I watch all of this. And I've played these tanks. I think I've said everything I need to say. That's all. That's it. I don't get it. I mean, you know what? That might sum it up. I think probably the best thing I can say about this, without being too negative in one way or glossing it over and saying it's a good thing on the other, is I don't get it. I don't. All right, we'll see you guys. That's all I've got. See ya.